trace supply. Let's deal with trace supply. Units in the supply phase have to be able to trace the supply back to a supply source. A supply source is basically one of your reinforcement hexes. There's one, here's another one on this map. Some OCS games don't have them quite so always labelled like this, I think. You might have to look at your scenario description, it will tell you what hex it is. But basically, a unit, let's just take this unit for instance, it has to be able to trace a line back to this supply source to be in supply. If it's not in supply, it gets marked out of supply, and if it's marked out of supply, it has its movement to combat values halved and its initiative rating dropped by 1. Not initiative, sorry, activation, I can't remember the name of the number is. Anyway, that number gets reduced by 1. Okay. Right. All units have what's called a direct draw range of 5 trucked movement points, or the hexes immediately around them. This is the same as in combat supply, which is in another video. In combat supply, if you're trying to pick up tokens, you can pick them up from 5 movement points away. So down this road, which is half a movement point per hex, that would be 10 hexes away. Or any of the hexes are immediately around a unit. It's the same with trace supply. This ultimate supply source, in theory, either has to be right next to the unit, or the unit has to be within 5 movement points of it. So that's what, 4 across the desert there, or 10 up this road. So you might say, well, you know, how do I get further than 10 hexes up a road away from the supply source? Well, there's a few ways of achieving that. 1. Railway lines extend your supply source. And you have what's called detrainable hexes. A detrainable hex is basically anywhere where there would logically be a train station on the railway. So a village, basically. So this would be a detrainable hex. So if my unit is within 5 movement points of this railway line here, I'm in supply. Okay. If an enemy unit somehow comes between me and this supply source though, I'm in trouble, because the enemy ZOC cuts supply. Okay? Okay. Another example. The other way you can move supply forward, or trace supply, is that HQs can throw trace supply their throw distance of 12. So let's imagine the situation. This unit for some reason is out in this lava field, don't know why it's out there. There's a HQ here, and there's our detrainable hex here. Well, he can direct draw, because he's within 5 movement points, 1, 2, 3 of this detrainable hex, he can direct draw to here. He can then throw 12 hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, easy. If I say 12 hexes, 12 movement points, trucked movement points. If we're out in the lava field, we're in trouble though, because lava is impassable to track or trucked vehicles, and it uses up all of an infantry's movement. So actually this unit, because it's trucked, would never be able to go out here. But 12 anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's in supply. If this unit somehow cuts in the middle, he's in trouble. If this unit somehow, enemy unit somehow cuts in the middle here, we're in trouble again. Some OCS games, I don't think there are any in Reluctant Enemies, have what are called extenders, which are basically truck tokens that can give you an extra range of movement points. And there's a beautiful page in the rules that explains how they're used. But essentially, you know, you're going to have your HQ, a number of extenders, and then maybe your units at the far end, and your supply source at one end as well. And you can even connect between train lines. You can run a train line, use an extender, and then jump to another train line. So that's trace supply.